Hi,
Hello.
welcome to
Thank you.
my show. For all of our viewers,
I'll let you talk. Sorry.
I just wanted to introduce you. You're Beth Schwartz. You're a showrunner, an executive producer, basically a writer for people who don't know what all that means. And you're one of my best friends for a really long time.
Yeah, we don't have to say how many years.
We won't say how many years. And also, you're a weekly customer to Gracefully Fed.
Yes, I
I
am
think that's,
a very loyal customer.
yeah.
Soup switcher from gracefully fed. Soup switcher, say bye bye to bread. If gluten's been a bitch, then ditch her with soup switcher.
So the whole point of this is I wanted to talk to my friends in TV and kind of get to know what they do, how they got there, all that stuff, and then make them eat my food while I creepily watch them do it.
Well, luckily, people on TV love to eat food.
Oh, good. Well,
So,
I mean, we could start with that. Like in a writer's room, what do you normally eat in a writer's room?
so in a writer's room, it depends what writer's room you're in. There's some that you just eat like pure candy and crap. And then if you're in a room where everyone's all of a sudden decided they want to go on a diet or some sort of juice cleanse, then it's healthy snacks, so it depends. It really does.
I mean, just a suggestion. I do think that because a lot of your meetings now are Zoom meetings, especially your writer's room or Zoom meetings, we should just send soup to everybody. You could all be eating soup together on the Zoom.
I think that's a great idea because that's like one of the things I miss the most about being in an office is all the food and also not having to think about food and having, the luxury of ordering out every every day, which I do at home now, but now I have to think about it for myself.
Let's get on it. But I do want to talk to you about your career. You are a writer, as I know, for many years, and you have done you were a showrunner on Arrow. You were on Heart of Dixie as a writer. You did What About Brian? Brothers and Sisters was like a long one you were on. Um, you wrote a show called My Life at Greeks that's not on IMDb.
It's true. It's true.
And people don't know this, but you also acted in a show called Dear God, It's Me, Tracy.
It's true where I was eating, funny enough.
Where you were eating, and we had to do multiple takes. You couldn't get through it without laughing. Would you say it's been an easy road?
No, it's been the hardest road. It's been, and that's why you're laughing because you were there through all of my complaining and frustrations. It's hard. It's tough. It's a tough business, mostly because you can't really control what show you're on and if that show succeeds, which really, it really is what keeps people from, I think, succeeding faster because shows get canceled all the time and then you have to jump from show to show and you have to start over again. So, and it's just obviously extremely competitive. So you just have to keep going.
And also like learning how to write for other characters than the characters that are in your head. Like writing for a show that isn't your creation, I can't imagine that being easy because everything I've ever written is about myself. So
it's interesting that you say that because I think I've gotten so used to that now that I'm writing a few projects on my own and it's not based off of something, it's so much harder.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because you don't have the blueprint or you don't have an actor in your head necessarily, obviously if you're not writing by yourself, but you don't I wouldn't be playing myself, so so you don't have any of those things sort of to draw from, and so it's to me now it's even more challenging to do my own stuff just because I'm so used to bringing other people's stories to life.
But you are working on your own stuff currently.
Yes, I am. Yes.
Which is kind of what the goal was, and it's super exciting.
It's true. It's always been the goal, and I've definitely been sidetracked in a good way, sidetracked. But yeah, it's been really fun. And yeah, I'm excited to share with the world. I can't quite yet, but eventually.
I mean, I think that I know this specifically with your career. It is a step forward and a few steps back. Like that's how like the trajectory is for most people in this business. But what would you say to somebody who's aspiring to write or this and that, like to kind of get to where you're going?
I think there's always, like I used to always say, it's so frustrating. You're working to get staffed or even to just write a freelance episode or even just to get that assistant job that you've always wanted. And you hear a lot of no's, or that spot's taken. And then just when you're about to give up, I always felt like there was like a tiny glimmer of hope that like something good would happen. Like I'd get a freelance episode and in the earlier in my career, I was like, oh, this is it. I've made it. I got a freelance episode. My first one was on What About Brian? And I was like, oh, this is it. I'm a full-time writer. And I was very, very mistaken. But then, you're right. You take a few steps back, but then you keep working, you have to keep working. And then you get another glimmer of hope. Then I got a few more freelances. And then I thought that was it. And it wasn't it. So I think you just have to take the highs and lows. There's a lot of lows, but there's also a lot of highs, and you have to really enjoy those highs to get you through the lows.
I also think, like, I mean, from what I've seen in your career, like, and this, like, we talk about this all the time, like in our 20 and our, now 30s.
What do you mean?
I mean, like, we're so young. Like every Sunday I would call and be like, let's go for brunch. Let's do this, blah, blah, blah. But like you wrote every single day. Like it was every single day you were writing. And, like sometimes like you put your social life on hold to fulfill like what you wanted to do in your career. I mean, I think it's all worth it now. Like you have all the things that you wanted, but like people sometimes want to be a writer and then they don't put in the work.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You definitely have to sacrifice even, and then even when you like make it or whatever that means, like, even if you're like a working writer, the same thing happens. Like you kind of, your family life or wherever you are, your social life always sort of comes second to your work, which is just something, I think I just got used to. And a lot of people who work in this industry just have to sort of, I mean, now with the pandemic, it's totally different because your work life is the same thing. But yeah, it's something that you just have to, make peace with or try or figure out the way that you can sort of have all those things in a healthy way. Cause yeah, I definitely, when you're younger, like, I missed out on some things, but I also, I wouldn't say I regretted it. It's different when obviously you have a family and
I mean, like we had our fair share of fun. I mean, we talk about that a lot as well. We don't have to talk about it here, but I mean, it's weird because like we put in so much work when we were younger, like that you had to like work really hard to, like I worked 3 jobs. I was writing my own stuff. Like you are just like trying your hardest to kind of break down this door to make it essentially, again, like what you were saying. And I feel like it's so different now. I feel like it's like when you hire somebody in your room, what do you look for?
You mean it's different, like how people get in or something? Is that what you mean? Like,
no, I feel like the work ethic is different.
Yeah, yes, I think so. But I think also there was like, I remember coming up as an assistant and there were always those people, I think it is part of getting old where you're just like, oh, those young people, they have no work ethic. Right. Like I remember having, friends as assistants who like didn't have the same work ethic as me, like it's just, there's just different types of people and some graduate college and are just like, yeah, I'm going to be a writer and I'm not getting people coffee and I'm above that. And then there's other people who know like, no, I'll do whatever it takes to learn and, because the thing is those jobs aren't really just to get coffee. They are to learn how a television show works. That's the point. If you just jump in and you don't know anything, which does happen, you know, with some writers who get a lucky break, then they are so behind other people who have come up as assistants or just, you know, started as a lower level.
I mean, like, I agree with you 100%. I always feel like I had as you know, a hard time when I started at the agency as an assistant, as in the mailroom, like whatever. Like it was a rough year for me. But I always say this: I worked for a very tough TV agent, but I learned the inner workings of how TV worked at that time very well. You know, like I understood where the network notes, the studio notes, like the back and forth between it, the contracts between I mean, like you learned so much. But yeah, you're getting a lot of coffee and spreading a lot of butter on bagels. Like it was a lot. But like,
yeah, but I worked for one director on a pilot, and I used to get him, he was British, and I used to get him tea, and it was never hot enough. Like I just didn't even know what to, I'm just like, I don't know how to make it hotter. Like I had to get like 3 different kinds of tea kettles. It was like actually ridiculous.
it makes you feel any better. I worked for Andy for 8 years and I could never keep any plants alive. He'd always be like, what happened? I'm like, I don't know. Like, and that was my job.
I'm like that now. So.
I know I can't keep plants alive. It's really sad. What about actors? Like, you're a showrunner, so you run the show. Do you have the final say on who gets cast in the show? Or is that like you work with your casting director and you kind of give him, you know, I say him because I know one of your good friends is a casting director, but like, do you give him final say because you trust his opinion, or how does that work?
It's definitely collaborative, and David, we'll just say his name, who I worked with. I worked with other casting directors, but we'll talk about David because
I like David.
He's a close friend. He was so great because I trust, you know, he would kind of walk me through the process, so I would trust my gut. And I would, you know, it would always be a conversation of like, what do you think about this person? But like, he would always allow me to sort of, to do what I felt was right. And then you also have, you know, you have the studio and the network. So like I could love someone and the studio might be like, no, we hate that person. So it might not work out. That has never happened to me so far. In terms of a big role, it has happened with small roles where, you know, I'd had to go to bat to fight for certain actors that the network just didn't see in the same way that I did. But I would say like, you know, 9 out of 10 times that everyone is, if the showrunner chooses someone and the producers agree, then the studio network will also agree.
Well, that's good. I mean, I feel like that's fun too. Like doing.
I don't like.
Oh, really?
It's the same, which I think you probably know this about me, but it's the same reason why I hate going to stand up. Like I get so nervous for the actor. Like now it's like Zoom, you know, when I'm seeing tapes, like then I can relax more. But when I'm in the room with someone, I'm so nervous for them that it's hard for me to concentrate.
It's so weird because they're probably so nervous, you know, like
I'm so nervous. I just want them to do a good job. I don't want them to be nervous. Like I feel their pain because that would be like actually my worst nightmare is auditioning and being like in a small room with people who are like this close to you. And so I get nervous. I get nervous for them. And so I don't love it. I don't love being in the room.
You don't like awkward situations.
Yes. And I just feel bad. And if it's a bad audition, it's like, oh, it's just like, you just feel so terrible for that person.
I feel like I've told you this, but I remember when I auditioned for Rent many years ago, like it was a cattle call. So you audition like 50 people at a time. And then they actually called me out to do a solo like number. And I always think in my head, like they needed a laugh for the day. They needed on like tape to like go back to, so that they were like, you know what I mean? Like they just had such a long day that they were like, let's pick I swear
it's
to you.
not American Idol where they like, where they, you know, like to see people fail. I feel like you don't have time. I'm guessing you don't have time for that, you know, like you want to find your right person. So like, but I
don't know. So let's get to the tasting.
Yay.
Okay, so I'm gonna have you taste because you're been my client since I started this company. I'm gonna have you taste the chicken sausage and white bean soup, which was like my first soup that I ever made, and like made vats of it. And you could try it and, you know, tell me.
Okay.
I mean, I'll watch you eat and see if this is good. It's so uncomfortable.
Oh my God. It's so good. Am I supposed to pretend like I've never had this before?
I mean, the cat's out of the bag. I'm not going to edit that out. You could just say, I mean, you've had this before.
I've had this. This is actually my favorite soup. And so when Tracy asked me to do this, I slyly wanted her to send me this soup because I'm obsessed with it. And it's so good. It's delicious. It's just a little spicy.
You're bad with spice.
Tracy is worried about my spice intake, so she makes sure it's not too spicy for me.
Yeah, I mean, so this, I've been selling this one. It's still one of our most ordered soups, you know, and people don't, you know, we're organic, gluten-free and dairy-free, but we still cook some soups with meat, you know, like all of our soups that don't have meat are vegan, but this happens to be, you know, it's organic, it's just not vegan, which I love this soup.
It's like a perfect lunch if you don't feel like making like a big meal or something, or you need it quickly and it fills you up. So,
well, you're a mom and a wife, quick meal,
full-time work,
and a full-time writer. Well, that's why I'm like, I'm going to interview my TV friends, because how much time do we actually have to like have a sit down meal? Like
never.
Never. So I'm like, soup it is. Get a thermos, put it in the morning, you know, let's do this. But my thing that I've been kind of really excited about is like trying new baked goods. And I know that you like sweets. So I attempted to make a carrot cake. It's actually vegan. It's a vegan carrot cake. And I made my own frosting, and I'm like super excited about it. And I wanted you to be the first to taste it.
So I have to admit something again.
What?
I just tried the frost. When I took it out, I tried the frosting and it was so good. And Tracy knows I can't lie. So I have to like be completely honest.
Oh no.
I did try the cake part, but I did try the frosting. So I'm very, very excited to eat.
Okay. I'm pretty proud of this because I've never made carrot cake before. And I tried decorating it with like a little
cute
carrot on top. So
if I don't like it, I'm gonna be honest, because Tracy knows that I'm very honest.
Right. I'm like nervous.
Oh my God.
Well, because doesn't it look much thicker than it tastes? Like I think
so good.
Because it's vegan, I think it's a little bit more dense, but when you actually tasted it, I was like so happy how it came out. Right?
So good. It is so good.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. I think I might want to try to sell this one.
I'm going to eat.
Well, I gave you 2 pieces, so please give Jeff some.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. So
okay,
my final thoughts with you, Beth Schwartz. I already asked you this. I was just gonna, I kind of ask everybody this, is like, what would you say to somebody who's like up and coming and wants to write and be in a writer's room or this and that? Like, it's not easy. Like I tried to do it and I couldn't get it. I got into one room and I script coordinated on one show in my 17-year career in TV. So like, what would you say to do to, like, if somebody was just moved out here? I mean, obviously the pandemic causes a different circumstance, but if somebody just moved out here, like, what would you say for them to like get into, to break through into the writing world?
I would say for me, like everyone has a different path, but what worked for me was trying to get that assistant job. And, really, I used to cold call shows. Like I would just, and now it's probably easier to get the phone numbers. Like I would get like the main number of Warner Brothers, and then I'd have a whole list of all the new shows that were got picked up to pilot, and I would call Warner Brothers and say, can you get me to the writer's office of, of Arrow or whatever. And then they would just like blankly like send me in. Cause like those numbers they're still not blocked, they're actually not that hard to find. And then someone would answer the phone. I'd be like, are you hiring any assistants? Like those are the kind of things, like really just trying to be scrappy. And then also just like meeting, I mean, it's hard now with the pandemic because I feel like I met so many, there were like someone tweeted, I think it was Sarah yesterday, I don't know, something about like, how'd you get your first agent? And I remember meeting my first agent at a mixer, at a Hollywood mixer. And I was like, remember those?
Yeah, we used to have those. And like, it was like, because when I worked at the agency, you always went to like mixers and like,
Yes.
I don't know, do they have those anymore?
So I remember like before the pandemic happened and because of what was happening with the Writers Guild and everyone, not having agents, they started doing them again. Like they had like Writers Guild mixers, but if you're not in the Writers Guild yet, obviously if you just moved out here, there's like all these groups online. Like I would go on Twitter and, I feel like it's almost more accessible because of social media. So it's like, I know there's like a pre-Writers Guild group that like I've spoken to, and just like do some research about how to network with people to find information and how you can get an assistant job, and just try every angle. Cause that's kind of what I did, and until someone gave me a job.
Well, what about like I think it's the Blacklist. I feel like I actually met friends of yours who work for the Blacklist. Like, would you recommend putting your scripts up there?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. And just like any sort of like writing contest that you can enter, just anything. Like honestly, you just don't know where that break's going to come from. I never won any of the contests, but I know a lot of people who have, and there's so many different kinds of writing programs from all the different studios. Like just do a bunch of research and literally try everything.
And when I do write that book, I forget what I called it.
Oh,
Would you read? What was it? No. Wait, hold on. I'm going to look at it.
Well, something like he's not that.
No, he's not, that's already been done.
It's not me, it's you.
This is no, it is in fact not me. It's you.
Yes.
If I do write that book, would you read it and maybe turn it into a show?
I would love to turn that into a Netflix rom-com, because that is my ultimate goal, is to write a Netflix rom-com. So
right, like I need to write this all down. I mean, I have ideas. I also do a lot of stalking, and I feel like they should all be documented in a romantic comedy for sure.
Yeah, especially, it's just right now it's crazy. I mean, now it's crazy, but like people are so stupid. Some of your stories, I can't.
I mean, it's just a rom-com about being single in a pandemic.
Yeah.
Like this is gold, Beth. I'm giving you gold.
I know, it really is.
Well, thank you for doing this. No, I appreciate it. I mean, like you eat from me every week and I love it. And I love that you love my carrot cake, obviously. But yeah, I mean, gracefully fed man should be in every writer's room. It's healthy. It's great.
Can I say one more thing that I think you forgot?
Yeah.
I order, Tracy also has ready-made meals that I order. They come every Tuesday. So I stock up because I never know what my week's going to be. And I'm usually glued to Zoom or my desk, and so I hate thinking about what I have to eat, which is why I miss being in the writer's office, because usually someone, does that for us. And so this has been so great for me because I buy 7 meals for the week and then I'm done and I don't have to think about it. And they are delicious and healthy, which is good because all I do is sit on my butt all day.
Well, I mean, yeah, and I love that you order the meals because the meals are really good. We have a new chef and he's doing like, oh my God, he made this. I should have given this to you.
I ordered today. That just reminded me.
We're gonna put this on the menu. He made a gnocchi, like his own pasta, like gluten-free gnocchi in a short rib ragu. But like since most of our like customers don't eat meat, we're gonna do it like in a mushroom, like vegan ragu. I mean, it blew me out of the water. I was just like, oh my God, but he's.
Do also, we'll eat that one.
No, I mean, I was going to give some to Matt and George. I'm like, oh, I just ate all of it. And then he just made like salsa verde enchiladas. Like we're coming out with like new menu items because the menu items that you've been eating have been on the menu for like 3 years. And so we're just kind of refreshing it. But yeah, so I'm excited.
Right.
Well, thanks. What are you doing for the rest of the day?
Taking care of my child.
Oh, it must be fun. It's so nice out. Are you going to go to like the park?
Maybe we'll go to the park.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll text you later when I, have some more input on this dude I've been talking to. No, not a good situation.
Oh, we'll put it in the movie.
I'll put it in the movie. But thanks. Yeah, put your order in. You have till 6 p.m.
I know. I'm gonna do that right now.
Maybe she's just like one of the guys.
She's really pretty.
He's so deep. Why did you fuck that up? I did. All right, hold on.
She was a video switcher in TV at the time. Then whoops, suddenly that girl's got Lyme. Her health is back on track cause she switched up her diet. And now she's forcing all her friends